o'clock, the headlines live on 7 News. Victorian families left counting the cost as tens of thousands of the country's worst paid teachers walk off the job. Local petrol stations run dry. That's despite Donald Trump backing down on his ultimatum to Iran. New insight into a deadly tarmac disaster. Human error to blame as an incredible survival story emerges from the wreck. And the Bombers basket case. Zach Merritt parachuted back into the leadership group.
This is Melbourne's 4 p.m. news with Karina Carvalho.
Good afternoon. First at 4, 35,000 teachers have walked off the job, leaving parents scrambling to make other arrangements. Ainsley Kosh is live with the latest. Ainsley, this is the largest teachers' strike in the state's history.
Yes, Karina, it's been a long time since we've seen crowds this big in the city, but certainly never this many teachers. They marched all the way from Trades Hall this morning here to Parliament House. The union says it affected around 300 schools. At one point, they snaked 1.7 kilometres along that route before taking over Spring Street. It's been a long-running industrial dispute. This is the first time teachers have walked off the job in around 13 years. The standoff centres around pay and conditions. The teachers are asking for a 35% pay rise. They say they're the lowest paid in the country, although that honour may belong to Tasmania. The state government is offering an 18.5% pay bump, so the two sides are a long way apart.
The ball is in the government's court. They know how the profession feels. They know the profession's expectations.
The offer of 18.5% with an immediate uplift of 9.5% provides educators right across our state with an uplift of up to $11,000 immediately. Combine that with the best conditions in the nation.
It's a bit of difficulty for us. I've got two kids, so one is at home, so I have to take a day off.
The teachers need to be paid more. We need to honour and respect the things that they do for our kids.
Now, most schools today did have staff rostered on, but only for certain grades. So many parents had to make contingency plans, including taking the day off work. The union says if it can't reach a deal with the state government, well, they may launch more industrial action. Karina.
Ainsley Kosh at State Parliament. We'll speak to you again later this hour. Donald Trump has backed down on his ultimatum to bomb Iran's power plants. The US president says peace talks are on the cards instead as he sends in his top mediator to the Middle East. Correspondent Jacqueline Robson reports from Tel Aviv.
Well, it's been a very upbeat US president who has said and announced that there has been productive dialogue on week 4 of this war. We are well past that drastic deadline given by Donald Trump. So instead of blowing up Iran's energy grid, we are now talking about potential peace talks with unnamed senior Iranian officials. The US president posted on Truth Social. The US and Iran have had very good and productive conversations, instructing a pause on any and all military strikes on power and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period. That's prompted a big financial surge. Oil and gas prices have dropped. There was a bump in stocks too. But Tehran says it has no idea what Donald Trump is talking about. The Iranian parliamentary speaker calling it fake news to buy time. The US president, though, says there was an 11th hour call that led to the breakthrough.
They want very much to make a deal. We'd like to make a deal too. We'll at some point very, very soon meet. We're doing a 5-day period. We'll see how that goes. And if it goes well, we're going to end up with settling this. Otherwise, we'll just keep bombing our little hearts out.
Pakistan has even offered to host face-to-face talks between the two countries, but on the front line, there has been more blows traded. Israel says it's blown up a Revolutionary Guard headquarters, and the Isfahan nuclear site in Iran has also been smashed again. In Lebanon, rockets from Hezbollah landed in northern Israel. There were 8 people injured on this side of that front. There is more intense fighting happening in the southern part of Lebanon.
Jacqueline Robson there in Tel Aviv. More than 100 Victorian petrol stations have run dry, with both metropolitan and regional outlets affected by surging demand. 83 servos have run out of diesel and 101 have no unleaded. As the fuel crisis worsens, families are limiting car trips to save fuel.
Yeah, I'm considering PT where I can, like on the weekends if I I don't need the car, then public transport's the way.
The state government says there's no fuel shortage and blames demand, which has spiked by 400%. Also making headlines at home, we have a tragic update on a devastating house fire in Roxburgh Park. A mother who was badly injured in last week's inferno has died in hospital. Her 2 teenage sons escaped the blaze. Investigators say they're satisfied there are no suspicious circumstances, despite cable ties on the front door. The estranged wife of former AFL umpire Troy Pennell has declared bankruptcy. Pennell was a no-show at his court hearing today over a now $10 million fraud case. A shipping container company alleges he created false invoices for ghost repairs while he was employed at the business. His ex-wife was also a defendant, but the Supreme Court action against her has now been dropped after she filed for bankruptcy. There's no time frame on how long it's going to take to fix a sinkhole in Albert Park. Southeast water crews have spent the day backfilling the area to make it safe. One lane of traffic remains blocked near the intersection of Kerford Road and Dank Street. The hole has a depth of 1.5 metres, but the sewer pipe is 7 metres deep and below the groundwater table, making the works more complex. Investigators have recovered the flight recorder on board a passenger plane that crashed into a fire truck at a New York airport, killing the 2 pilots. It's been revealed human error is to blame for the deadly disaster, as US correspondent Rob Scott explains.
This was an absolutely horrendous accident, which at this early stage appears to have been the result of human error. It happened at New York's LaGuardia Airport last night. An Air Canada Express jet that was landing, slamming headfirst into a fire and rescue truck that crossed onto its runway. The damage was extensive. The cockpit decimated. The pilot and co-pilot both killed.
It was an aviation disaster, the likes of which we have not seen here in over 3 decades.
43 people were taken to hospital, including 2 from the fire truck. Dozens have since been treated and released.
We came in pretty hard. We immediately hit something and it was just chaos from there. We didn't have any directions because the pilot's cabin had been kind of destroyed. So somebody said, let's get the emergency exit and get the door in. Let's all jump out. And that's exactly what we did.
One of the cabin crew was ripped from the plane. She was found alive, still strapped into her seat on the tarmac. Audio from the control tower gives a glimpse into what may have happened. The controller apparently giving the truck permission to cross the runway to get to an incident with another plane just moments before the collision.
Frontier 4195, just stop there, please. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop. Stop, truck 1, stop.
That wasn't good to watch.
Yeah, I know, I was here. I tried to reach out to my staff, and we were dealing with an emergency earlier.
No, man, you did the best you could.
It's incredibly sad. It's troubling.
Investigators are on the ground examining the wreckage, trying to piece together moment by moment exactly what happened. While they do that, LaGuardia Airport, which was shut for hours, has slowly begun to reopen.
Rob Scott reporting. The AFL is on track to make the historic decision to shift the grand final to a twilight game as early as this year. Seven's Caroline Wilson had the story on the agenda setters.
If it's not a twilight grand final this year, I'll be shocked. The AFL is targeting, among others, but very strongly targeting Kylie Minogue to perform at a twilight grand final.
With the pop princess's preference reportedly to perform under lights, the traditional pre-game entertainment spectacular could move to half-time. Caro will join Rebecca Maddern on the news at 6. Meteorologist Jane Bunn joins us now. Jane, we're on storm watch.
We are indeed, Karina, on a humid and unsettled afternoon. We reached 27 in the city before a brief burst of wet weather. It is now 22 and it is humid, feeling a bit like Queensland. That first burst of wet weather struck the city just before 2 p.m. and intensified as it rolled through the east with lightning strikes in the outer southeast. We're in a break now, but we are not done. There is certainly more to come brewing over to our west. The risk of thunderstorms continues over the next few hours and then it'll ease this evening on a muggy night. It is warm and humid once again tomorrow with the risk of further storms in the afternoon and evening. Then get ready for something very different, a wintry blast to end the week. I'll have full details a little later. Karina.
Talk to you then. Thanks, Jane. You're watching 7's afternoon news. Still to come, a man accused of ramming the bus of a soccer team insists he's on the right side of history. Find out why after the break. Also ahead, Meghan Markle looks to bring her lifestyle brand down under, and the mega $200 million development that could change the face of Q. We're back in just a few minutes. Stay with us. Developing now on 7 News, it's been a day of disruption for Victorian families, with tens of thousands of teachers walking off the job and through the city. 500 schools have been caught up in the chaos in one of the biggest strikes in Victoria's history. We'll have more on this story throughout the hour. He's accused of ramming a bus carrying the Iranian women's soccer team on the Gold Coast. Now, the ute driver is claiming he was trying to take evasive action when they collided. Amelia Adam was in court today.
Mohammed Zarkavava had his case mentioned in Southport Court this morning and insists he will be fighting the charges. He was arrested after this. Police allege the 35-year-old father drove a ute onto the wrong side of the road, swerving before ramming the bus carrying Iranian players. He's charged with dangerous operation of a vehicle and evading police.
We need to show them all the evidence we have, and we need to get the police record, all the things from police.
At the time, the women were on their way from Royal Pines to Coolangatta Airport for a flight to Sydney on their way home to Iran. It came after they were knocked out of the Women's Asian Cup in the group stage. Anti-regime activists had tried to stop the bus at the team's hotel, worried they'd face severe consequences at home after failing to sing the national anthem at their opening cup match. The players were offered humanitarian visas to seek asylum in Australia. 7 accepted, but 5 eventually changed their minds. 2 remain in Australia.
We try to support them because they are under pressure from IRGC terrorist organisation.
The 35-year-old's car today, sitting outside the courthouse, showed the scars of his alleged run-in with a team bus.
It's scratch here.
That's it.
The case is due back in court next month.
Meghan Markle looks likely to launch a line of lifestyle products in Australia. The Duchess of Sussex has trademarked her brand as ever ahead of a trip down under alongside Prince Harry. Sarah Jane Bell has the details.
The last time the Duchess of Sussex was in Australia, it was as a senior working royal and she wooed crowds. But this time, it appears she'll be trying to win people over with her jam and flower sprinkles. Meghan has secured several trademarks for her brand as ever, and the products fall under the description of fancy. Now, this trip next month comes just after the split between the brand as ever and Netflix. And we also know that Netflix hasn't renewed her lifestyle program, but it's unclear whether she will be looking for a new revenue stream. The trademarks were actually secured last year, but with this trip, we'll find out whether they are looking to break into the Australian market. We also know that Meghan will be appearing at a women's only retreat in Australia where tickets cost around $3,000.
Locals have been given a glimpse of the 4-tower James Packer-backed proposal for the old Leo supermarket site at Kew Junction. The Princess Street complex, to be known as Kew Village, could feature one tower as tall as 18 stories. It's expected to be home to 194 apartments, along with retail and hospitality outlets. Time for a look ahead to sport. Rebecca Maddern, the Bombers have denied any problems with their culture.
Well, Karina, it has been a tough start to the season for them, and they've even called back in their former skipper to help steady the ship. Also, Scott Boland finally gets a bronze statue. We'll tell you why shortly. Plus, Mitch Cleary will join me with breaking news from the AFL. I'll see you very shortly.
OK, thanks, Beck. Plenty more news coming up too, including weapons drawn, what sparked this dramatic police takedown outside Parkdale train station. Plus, airport bosses hatch a high-tech plan to cut queues, and the remarkable story of the clever canines who escaped a dog napper. Don't want to miss that story, coming up in just a few minutes. Hello again. If you've just joined us, these are pictures taken by the 7 News chopper of the biggest teachers' strike in Victorian history. Tens of thousands taking to the streets. Teachers say they're the worst paid in the country. The timetable turmoil has had a significant impact on families. We'll get the latest from our reporter shortly. Police have taken down an alleged thief at Parkdale, fearing he was armed. The dramatic confrontation happened right under the Skyrail tracks on Como Parade around 3:40 yesterday afternoon. He dropped to the ground but refused to follow police directions, with officers drawing tasers before he could be handcuffed and searched. Police say no gun was found. Airport and tourism bosses have joined forces calling for urgent upgrades to our border. They say other countries are moving ahead of us with faster passport processing, leaving Australia falling short. Aviation editor Blake Johnson explains.
The morning peak inside the International Arrivals Hall can be a nightmare way to end a holiday or even start one for international tourists coming here. Queues for passport kiosks and smart gates can stretch the length of the Arrivals Hall at many Australian airports. At Sydney Airport today, representatives gathered from our three biggest airports, Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane, plus the Airports Association and the Tourism and Transport Forum. They're calling for increased federal funding to urgently invest in a more modern border.
We believe that this can be funded budget neutral for the federal government.
We pay $70 arrival tax each every time we land in Australia, and the group wants more of that to go to infrastructure at the border.
So a manual process of presenting a passport to an officer is obviously not going to be existent in other nations going forward. It's going to be an ecosystem of biometrics.
3 airports represented here alone are investing $15 billion in further developing our airports and make them world class. That means that we need better borders.
A wider rollout of digital incoming passenger cards is happening, but quite slowly. The airports are up against it here. Everyone blames them when they're stuck in a queue at immigration control, but really it's up to Border Force and the federal government to sort this out, especially as we head towards Brisbane 2032.
Now it's time to see what else is making headlines overseas. Let's go around the world in 80 seconds.
We begin in the Amazon, where a Colombian Air Force plane transporting troops has crashed. Dozens died when the aircraft plummeted to the ground near the Peru border just after takeoff. But dozens more were rescued, smoke billowing from the wreck as emergency workers searched for survivors. In California, a jury has found Bill Cosby guilty of sexually assaulting a waitress. The woman lodged a civil case saying she was drugged and attacked after a ride in the disgraced actor's limousine in 1972. She's been awarded more than 84 million Australian dollars in damages. Staying in the United States, but changing pace, Donald Trump has paid an impromptu visit to Graceland. He was in Memphis for a crime roundtable.
Every place we go, and Memphis, I guess you probably heard the crime numbers are way down. So you have to be happy. Elvis would be very happy about that.
The US president signed a replica guitar before the end of the tour. And is this the prison break of the century? These 7 cunning canines were stolen in China, but managed to chew through their cage and escape from a van. With their little corgi leader, the pack trekked 16 kilometres along a busy motorway as they made their journey home. And that's your trip around the world in 80 seconds.
Easter baskets will be lighter yet more expensive this year. Consumer watchdog Choice has found the cost of Easter treats has increased, while some products have shrunk in size. Cadbury's Easter Egg Hollows has dropped from 408 grams in 2024 to 340 grams this year, but the price has climbed from $12.50 to $18. Hot cross buns have also fallen victim. Aldi's Rocky Road and Banoffee-inspired buns now 20 grams lighter than a year ago without any reduction in price. We're approaching 4:30. Our headlines are just around the corner. Seeing red, Victoria's teachers make history as they shut down city streets. Also ahead, behind battle lines, our chief reporter goes on tour with Hezbollah. See the moment a petrol station worker puts his life on the line to stop a fuel bandit. Not everyone's on board with AI, but dragging your heels could cost you. We explain why. We're live from Melbourne on 7 and 7 Plus. Stay with us. You're watching 7 News Melbourne. I'm Karina Carvalho. These are the stories we're following this hour. Victoria's teachers see red marching through city streets for a record-breaking strike. Parents left in the lurch by the timetable turmoil. The world breathes a sigh of relief as Donald Trump backs down on his threat to bomb Iran's energy supply. Still, petrol pumps are leaving Victorians high and dry. Human error to blame for a deadly tarmac crash. 2 pilots killed when their plane hit a fire truck. And a Twilight Grand Final with Kylie Minogue taking centre stage. The AFL has tongues wagging. Thousands of families have had to make last-minute plans after teachers walked off the job in the largest industrial action in 13 years. Ainsley Kosh was at the rally. Ainsley, the maths teacher walkout affected hundreds of classrooms.
Yes, Karina, and teachers are already warning this won't be the last time they take industrial action if the government doesn't meet their demands for a 35% pay increase and better conditions, saying their march through the city this morning is not only the first time they've walked off the job in 13 years, it's the largest teacher strike in the state's history. Now, the state government is offering an 18% pay rise, which will cost taxpayers another $2 billion. There are other disputes over conditions, one of them being maximum sizes of classes. Today's strike didn't completely shut down schools. We spoke to some parents who had at least one child at school and another at home. Take a listen.
Bit of difficulty for us. I've got two kids, so one is at home, so I have to take a day off.
Yes, we have no choice. We have to keep them, at home, yeah.
All power to them. They absolutely need to strike.
I think they should get the same pay as the teachers in New South Wales.
There's no doubt that we will escalate our action if that's what we need to do.
Teachers say around 300 schools were impacted, but the government disputes that figure. Karina.
Ainsley Kosh, thank you. Returning to the Middle East now, where the US has agreed to postpone strikes on Iranian power plants for 5 days as they seek peace negotiations. Chief reporter Chris Reason is in Lebanon and today toured the battleground with members of terror group Hezbollah.
Good afternoon. We're here at the site of one of Israel's latest strikes on Lebanon, brought here by Hezbollah, a guided tour for international media as they attempt to show the world the toll this war is taking. We were given instructions to meet at a place deep inside Hezbollah heartland in the Bekaa Valley. The roads here are plastered with posters of their leaders and heroes, men declared as terrorists along with the group itself by at least 20 countries, including Australia. But to get to these missile strike sites, we needed their permission. A family of 6 killed at one, 2 families of 8 killed at another. They claim none of them had any connection to Hezbollah or the war. How much anger do you have now?
I'm asking all the world to know that Israel are a monster.
Hezbollah has been part of the fabric of Lebanon for years. They have politicians in parliament, they fund hospitals and schools, have their own TV network and radio stations. They also have a lot of critics, and many blame them for a war that is decimating the country and has displaced over 1 million people. The toll here in Lebanon is now well over 1,000, including the family of 6 that were killed here, 2 children among them, the latest victims to add to that list. Back to you.
Chris Reason there in Lebanon. A new $10 billion a year free trade deal has been struck between Australia and the European Union. For Australian consumers, it means cheaper electric vehicles, but our farmers say it's extremely disappointing. Let's go live to Josh Martin at Parliament House. Josh, the European Commission President is warning against being over-dependent on Beijing.
Good afternoon, Karina. This deal has been 8 years in the making and it's in defiance of President Trump's tariffs and global trade war. Ursula von der Leyen also says it's imperative to get China right and to diversify into other markets. The European Union President flew into Canberra this morning, then joined Anthony Albanese in Parliament House, signing the trade pact and a defence agreement as well. This afternoon, she also became the first foreign female leader to address a joint sitting of federal Parliament. Von der Leyen speaking on the new free trade deal that gives Australian exporters access to 450 million European consumers. She also threw in a bit of humour.
A once-in-a-generation achievement that will create jobs and prosperity for generations to come.
The world we live in is brutal, harsh and unforgiving. It feels upside down. It has been hard yakka. But we finally got there. Today, we finally conclude our trade deal. And I'm also looking forward to sampling a pavlova. Or do I have to wait to visit New Zealand to try that delicacy?
Karina, a bit of a cheeky barb there. Under the deal, Australian businesses can still use geographic-specific terms like Kransky and Parmesan, plus Prosecco domestically, but Feta, Romano and Gruyere will be limited to existing products. At full implementation, Australian producers will be able to export 35,000 tonnes of beef and 31,000 tonnes of sheep meat.
Australian farmers generally, we're basically better off being out of this deal. Some of our competitors like Canada and New Zealand are way ahead of that. So we know it really is a low number for us. And
we shouldn't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. We think this is the best deal that we're going to get.
Karina, Australian wine and seafood exporters are a little more upbeat, having won tariff-free exports.
And keeping the name Prosecco as well. Josh Martin, thank you. The fuel crisis has taken a dangerous turn, with a fuel bandit accused of mowing down a service station attendant before fleeing in Perth's southeast. The alleged thief was on the run for almost 11 hours before police arrested him. A 39-year-old man has been charged with a string of offences.
Now in particular is something that we should be very mindful that the price of fuel may increase that type of offending.
The worker is in a stable condition in hospital. Love it or hate it, it appears artificial intelligence is here to stay. The majority of workers are embracing AI tools, but a new report suggests there's a skills gap and it's costing our economy billions. Consumer Affairs Editor Georgia Holland reports.
Good afternoon. AI has infiltrated Australian workplaces. 84% of employees are using it every day, but only 7% are considered proficient. That's 5 million Australian employees classified as AI beginners. RMIT Online and Deloitte Access Economics did some modelling, and they found if half of those 5 million workers improved their AI skills to intermediate level, it could boost our economy by nearly $19 billion. Now, it would also benefit the workers.
Even moving from a beginner to intermediate, it's about $7,000 a year, so it's actually quite substantial.
There is a lot of anxiety over AI in the workplace. Almost a third of workers are worried they'll lose their job. That's according to new research from Finder.
It definitely seems like the workplace is shifting dramatically because of the rise of AI use in Australia. So it really is the time to upskill yourself on what AI can do, how you can build agents to do repetitive tasks and that type of thing, to protect yourself from AI. It sounds strange, but it really is the thing to be looking at.
There are, of course, jobs already being impacted, particularly in the admin and tech space.
Georgia, thank you. Sport is next with Rebecca Maddern. We'll have details on the breaking news from Geelong regarding their captain, Patrick Dangerfield. Plus, the 7-star delivering the King's baton. And the EV revolution, with fuel prices skyrocketing, is now the time to make the switch. That expert advice is straight after today's sport headlines.
One of Australia's biggest online travel sales is back. Where to score epic savings on your next holiday, from budget stays to luxury escapes.
When I knew that I was getting to hang out with y'all, I said, come on, let's do it.
Get your day started right.
Start with Sunrise on 7.
Rebecca Maddern is here with the afternoon sport. Beck, there's breaking news of the Cats.
Certainly is. Good afternoon, Karina. One of the stars has been ruled out for their big clash with the Crows on Thursday night. Chief football reporter Mitch Cleary broke the news this afternoon. Hi to you, Mitch. They'll go into the game without Dangerfield.
Well, Beck, it means Patrick Dangerfield will now miss his second game for the season. There's no guarantee for next week against Hawthorn on Easter Monday. To run you through the timeline here, so the 35-year-old first injured his calf at Origin in Perth in February. He played reduced minutes against Carlton in a practice match and then missed opening round against the Suns. From there, he played round 1 against Fremantle but re-injured the same calf. We'll have more tonight at 6 o'clock, but Mark Butzarves is fit to tackle the Crows, despite he being on light duties yesterday. Meantime, the spotlight is well and truly on the Bombers. For the first time in their history, they've lost their opening 2 games of the season by more than 10 goals. It prompted a players-only meeting post-game against the Power on Sunday, while Zach Merritt took part in this week's leadership group meeting, even after he handed in his official leadership duties after his failed trade request to Hawthorn. Kyle Langford was left to do the talking this morning.
Zach's got so much experience. He's our most experienced, our eldest player. His insights would be lost if we didn't include him in a lot of these chats. This is my 12th year in the system, 12th year at Essendon, and I can confidently say this is the best I've felt about this group and the direction and the hunger of this group. We just need to be able to translate that into performance.
Tonight at 6, the injury lists from all 18 clubs are due out, so we'll have the very latest across the entire competition. But Beck, Hugh McCluggage are likely to miss for Brisbane, so that's a blow for them ahead of their clash with St Kilda at Marvel Stadium on Saturday.
I can already say it's a long list. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, with the FIFA World Cup in North America around the corner, even Socceroos captain Matt Ryan knows his position as the first choice goalkeeper isn't certain. The 33-year-old says the team is nowhere near set in stone ahead of the tournament in June.
There's no hierarchy, there's no just because someone is senior or more experienced or someone is younger and less experienced, meaning that this player is the number one for that position.
The Socceroos face Cameroon in Sydney on Friday night and Curaçao next week here in Melbourne as the final 2 friendlies before the World Cup. Aussie Test star Scott Boland has finally got a bronze statue. It might only be a cardboard version, but the Victorian paceman will play his 100th Shield match on the final against South Australia starting Thursday at Junction Oval.
I'm sure we're going to get a pretty good crowd this week for a Shield game, so if the kids and the fans want to take a photo with it or whatever, it's going to make for a bit of fun.
Meanwhile, after a month-long inquiry into their Ashes humiliation, Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes have both kept their roles as coach and captain. Australian sprinting's hottest talents, Gout Gout and Lachlan Kennedy, will renew their rivalry at the Maurie Plant meet in Melbourne this weekend. Kennedy stunned Gout in the 200 metres final at the meet last year.
I mean, it was a cracking race last year. I had so much fun and very excited to hopefully win it again. Hopefully we can run an even faster time.
The Maurie Plant meet is live and free on 7 and 7plus on Saturday night. And the King's Baton Relay has arrived in Sydney, marking 121 days until this year's Commonwealth Games in Glasgow. Amber Laidler is at Kirribilli and joins us now. Hi to you, Amber. The ceremony's just kicked off.
Good afternoon, Beck. Yes, the King's Baton was delivered here to Admiralty House at Kirribilli earlier this afternoon, but has been on quite the relay across Sydney today. It all started this morning at our Sunrise studio. Gymnast Georgia Godwin, our gold medalist from Birmingham 2022, passed it over to our very own Matt Shervington. Shervo, of course, more than qualified to be taking part in a relay after he won bronze in the 1998 Commonwealth Games for the men's 4x100. He took it on quite the sightseeing tour of Sydney today before delivering it to our Governor-General, Her Excellency Samantha Mostyn, here at Admiralty House. But Beck, this baton is incredibly special. This is the first time all 74 Commonwealth nations have their own baton, and ours was hand-painted by First Nations artist Shanae Sutton.
Together it tells a story of connection, of diversity and of the Commonwealth Games journey. So I hope that you all really like the baton and the story that it tells as well.
All 74 batons have a word. Ours is welcome, and those batons will effectively be lined up to reveal a special message that will be read by King Charles at the opening ceremony in Glasgow. Beck, the baton's actually no longer here. It's already on the way to the airport. Its final stop of its Australian tour, Tasmania, tomorrow.
Okay, terrific work. Thank you very much, Amber. I'm glad we didn't have to run with that. I've got my running shoes on today. It's good to see.
Thanks, Beck.
Pleasure.
Electric vehicle sales have suddenly surged, fuelled by record high petrol prices, inflation and interest rates. New and second-hand EV sales are clocking up a record-breaking month as motorists scramble to cut the crippling cost of transport. Here's Tara Stowers.
Well, sales of brand new electric cars have suddenly gone crazy. This dealership here has already sold 25 EVs in just 2 days. That's compared to the usual 8 per month. The surge in demand is unprecedented, with record high petrol prices convincing many motorists to make the switch. While EVs still make up a small portion of overall car sales, latest figures show the numbers of electric cars sold has doubled compared to the same time last year, with more than 11,000 sold nationally in February alone, and that's before the war on Iran ever broke out.
In the last, especially couple of days, EVs and hybrids have just gone out of control, and even just overnight we received 5 inquiries on the one EV car that we've got, and we've never seen anything like that before.
With petrol at $2.50 a litre, Australians are looking for ways to beat the cost of living, and an EV is the best way to save $3,000 per year.
Buyers aren't just targeting new electric cars, second-hand EVs are also being snapped up in record numbers. Pickles Car Auctions celebrating more EV sales this month than ever before.
And a big driver is rising fuel prices and ongoing cost of living pressure. We've seen a 30% uplift in used EV searches as more Australians look to reduce ongoing running costs.
For budget-conscious consumers, the savings make EVs an easy choice. Driving an electric car costs around 4 times less than a petrol car. Now the question is whether this current EV trend continues once the war is over.
Tyra, thank you. You're watching 7 News on this Tuesday afternoon. Jane is standing by to talk all things weather.
When the world is changing and it impacts us, Australia turns to 7. Australia turns to trust. Chief Correspondent Chris Reason leading our coverage.
From inside the conflict zone.
From sunrise to 6 p.m. every night.
On 7 News.
Today's market rally faded as investors weighed the latest developments between the US and Iran. James Tao from ING Bank has more.
Yeah, good afternoon. It's been another volatile session on the share market, with investors initially cheering signs the US had stepped back from threats against Iran, leading the ASX 200 to jump 130 points or 1.6% on the open. But enthusiasm faded, and by the close, the index added just 14 points or a fifth of 1%, still managing to end a 3-session losing streak. Oil prices firmed after a near 10% plunge overnight, while gold continues to slump. Rising inflation expectations across the world have taken the shine off the precious metal, now down almost 25% from the all-time highs back in January. Back at home, miners led today's gains, while energy, financials and tech stocks all finished lower. It was a wild ride for Myer too. The retailer's half-year results saw the stock surge 17% at the open, but that momentum evaporated as Myer shares ended the day flat. And finally, the Aussie dollar has also edged a little bit lower. It's now buying about 69.6 US cents.
James, thank you. Well, Peter Mitchell, hello. You're here to tell us about our next major bulletin at 6.
Hello to you, Karina. Yes, indeed I am. And first to news just in. A man has been arrested at High Point Shopping Centre for a very bizarre reason. Police say he was asking teenagers for urine samples to use for a workplace drug test. Yes, that's right, but that's not all. We reveal what officers found after that. Also tonight, from broccoli and fennel to milk and cheese, we take a deep dive into how the fuel crisis is impacting your supermarket bill. A high-profile Melbourne leader opens up on her cruel battle with MND and her brave mission to help those fighting alongside her. Nick McCallum will have her story. And horsing around for a good cause at the Royal Children's Hospital. It's all coming up after the chase. Karina.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Mitch.
Thank you.
Well, Jane Bunn returns now. And Jane, there are thunderstorms approaching.
They're coming in from the west, Karina. We're all at risk of these over the next hour or two. It reached a humid top of 27 before the first burst of wet weather, arriving just before 2 p.m. It is now 22 and remains muggy during the evening tonight. It reached the low 30s in a few suburbs, Laverton, Point Cook, Moorabbin.
And our first burst came in from the north and moved across the east. We've had further activity down near the coast, but over to our west we have a bigger band of showers and thunderstorms. Having a look there, they are heading our way. It is warm and humid statewide in north to northeasterly winds. The cumulus cloud grew taller than yesterday. We have showers and thunderstorms. Hit and miss out ahead of a band of them that is crossing the southwest and Wimmera, now coming into south central and Melbourne parts, bringing milder but still muggy air. A high to our east brings the warmth and humidity, and the trough to our west makes it unstable. After that, we have a cold front that is racing across the bight. Looking to the northwest, where ex-cyclone Narelle re-intensifies tonight, then it'll literally terrorise the entire northwest coastline as it barrels southwestwards over the next few days. When it reaches there, it may turn the corner at the end near Exmouth and then head inland further south. This one has been here since last week and still got a lot to go. We have another round of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow, then later in the week, maybe quite wet in the far southeast of the state as a low forms just off the coast here. That's as we go from our current warm and humid conditions, enjoy them while we have them, to a sharp change arriving on Thursday. It is properly cold to end the week, an early taste of winter. But this isn't the last hurrah. It's warm again by early next week. Around the nation tomorrow, afternoon cumulus in Brisbane, full sunshine in Sydney. Possible showers and storms across the southeast in Canberra, Hobart and Adelaide. Lots of sunshine in Perth. To Victoria, generally dry at first on another warm and humid day, but it turns unsettled for the afternoon and evening. We'll have these hit and miss showers and thunderstorms. Now tomorrow, they're least likely in the southwest as the trough has pushed through there already. So in Melbourne, enjoy the warmth while we have it. We start the day on 18, a top of 27, so it's warm and humid. There is the risk of thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening. They'll be hit and miss just like we saw today. Enjoy the warmth of tomorrow. It ends on Thursday. It's absolutely bitter by Thursday night. I'll have more in the news at 6, Karina.
I've got the winter doona out already, Jane. Thank you. And that's all from Melbourne's afternoon news. Thank you for joining us. For now, from the 7 News team, take care and enjoy your evening.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.